Daniel, I just want to hear real quick because you and Chris Mumby threw down, dude, maybe the best combo of all time. What was it? It was a $1.5 million annuity. And how big of an IUL was it? 100K?
100K IUL and a $1.5 million annuity. Yeah.
So, dude, real quick, let people know how that happened because that was a team effort. And I want people to know when they come across those kind of things. I mean, that's going to be a huge commission. And I want people to be able to get that kind of business. So let people know what that situation was real quick.
I mean, it was simple. Like how he found it. He followed every single step that we talked about on the annuity call on Wednesdays at 12 o'clock. It wasn't any different. Brief commercial break there. Insert that in. But yet he just had a conversation with the client, said, "Hey, do you have anything that acts like life insurance, old 401k, Roths, all that good stuff, everything that we talked about every single time we talk about annuities." And he asked the question and the client said, "Yeah, um, I've actually got like, 700, 800K." It's like, okay, well, might be able to do something for you, might be able to work it out or whatever. We showed him the idea. Mumby immediately booked something with me. We had a conversation with him, talked with him. At the end of our conversation, he said, you know, I've kind of been telling you boys a story. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I don't really have about that much. I've got about double. And I want to see if we can do it for that much too. I said, okay, well, let's see what it looks like. And then ran the illustration. And, we've been working on this one since Summit. So now we finally put pen to paper, got it submitted. And, now it's preliminary stuff on the back end. They're rocking and rolling. And the funny thing was, he says, man, he texted me the other day. He said, man, I'm so excited about doing this strategy. I've actually got a buddy that's got right around the same amount of money. And I'd love to be able to get him in contact with you as well. And it's just, it really is gift keeps on giving. You solve enough people problems and, you never have to worry about a commission check in your life.
Amen. Man, great job, Daniel. Great job, Chris. Dude, phenomenal job. Damon, where you at, brother?
Right here, baby. What's going on?
How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good.
Dude, I feel like we got to give you, I think, the first props. I think every time I've been in the Tampa office, you've been closing 10K down while getting your hair braided. So maybe the coolest guy in the Tampa office, dude. I don't know. The top writer for sure. So, dude, you've been with us for 7 months. Is that right?
Yeah, about 7 months.
Dude, and absolutely crushing it. So, dude, first off, I want people to know about you, kind of where you come from. Let people know how you got into Pinnacle and what the beginning of your journey's been like.
Yeah. So obviously been here 7 months. Prior to that, I was doing door to door, selling roofing windows, top, top over there. And prior to that, I had probably my most fun job. I was a traveling bartender. So I used to do like destinations for like the winter season, summer season. I was taking
Mhm.
like 6 months off a year. Kind of miss it, but I don't miss the money. So
Yeah, not on, but hey, dude, with what you're writing, you can be on an island wherever you want, dude, anytime. So, um, dude, talk about you. You had probably one of the best starts coming into the space. You wrote 40K your first month, is that right?
yeah, 42 or 43, something like that.
Dude, talk about that for people who like break that down for folks who coming in, like what was, and I really want to get into your mindset, the like way you build the why with the client. We're going to get into a lot of good stuff, but maybe this is a great place to start, just like your first month in the space. Talk about leads, the strategy you ran, time. Like what did that 42, 43? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, a little bit different situation, I guess, for a lot of people coming into the business. I came in, with money, where a lot of people don't, and could have easily opted into like the systems right away. But obviously, my goal being to build an agency, and in order to, be able to direct and have people trust you, you got to go through the mud. So it was just dialing off of sheets. I was dialing. Um, Actually like pretty exclusively because Aria, my card doesn't work. I don't know what's going on with it. But I was dialing, specifically like proven leads. Um, like I started out with the like 12 months, then the 6 months, then kind of found my sweet spot with the 3 months. And, I was working long hours, probably close to 16-hour days. First one in, last one out. So,
And dude, I think that's a great place to start. We talked just a little bit earlier today, and I was just talking about different areas, you're strong in, and places like you feel like a weakness. And you said something I think like was unique for a weakness, and you're like work-life balance. And I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, well, I'm the first year in this business. And so like I'm giving it everything. And I think even in your answer right there made that really apparent. Clarify for people like what that means for you, like in the mindset that you obviously came into this business with and kind of where you're at today.
yeah, I mean, I'm a workhorse. I like working hard. Which is why honestly I got out of door to door because I felt like it was, I had kind of mastered it, right? And it became easy. So I always look for the challenge. What we talked about is work-life balance. Me and Jay talked about that earlier today too. Um, I wouldn't encourage anybody to be like me because if you knew what it took to be me, you wouldn't want to do it. And what that comes down to is like, this is my business, right? This is the first time essentially I've owned the ground that I'm building on, as opposed to putting money in somebody else's pocket. And for that, I'm willing to lose everything, right? Relationships, family, friends. To me, I'll lose it all before I don't reach my success. And it's tough, right? And what it really shows you is the people that do stay during that time not only respect you because they recognize, all right, this is somebody that's driven, that's motivated, but it's going to show you who you want in your life anyway.
Yeah. Dude, you just dropped some serious wisdom there. I think I I was always a fan of entrepreneurship before I ever got into it. And I think one of the things that I heard years before I ever became an entrepreneur that really stuck with me is sometimes it's the people closest to you that are your biggest detractors at the beginning. Now, a lot of those people they tag on later, like, oh, my mom maybe discouraged me at the beginning, but you buy her a house and she stops saying those things. But, but dude, I mean that you just gave some big wisdom for like, hey, this is something I gotta do, and just sacrificing what's necessary. That's powerful, dude. That's powerful. You are trending already, and you're not. And it's funny because you said it wasn't a goal at the beginning of the year, but you're trending for $1 million this year, issue paid already into March. And so, dude, let people know what's the play you're running. I know you're still running, I think majority, if not exclusively, aged, but you've got a good system. I think said me you have four VAs.
Yeah. Or working on five right now.
So talk to us about obviously, and dude, I love the mindset behind it. Like, hey, if I'm going to build, I need to come in the way that most agents come in. So you started just working off the sheets. Talk to us about how that has developed into the play that you're running now and how you're running it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always about how much can I increase my profitability, right? And really, what that comes down to is how much is my time worth, or really, what is my hour worth, right? What is my dollar per hour? So it got to the point where I think in my third month, I submitted 73. I'm dialing off the sheets, no CRM, no nothing, right? I'm just going through spreadsheets. And it was, kind of an epiphany moment or an aha moment where I'm like, okay, well, how can I take that time and scale it? Right. And I think a lot of people across the business right now are doing that by implementing the VAs and the CRM. Shout out Rego. That was my first one. That was my boys. Um, but then it became different for me, right? Because, in order to not be average, you can't just be doing what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And the way I looked at it is, well, essentially what I want to create is two versions of me. A version of me that's running appointments, but then another version of me that's also dialing. Right. So I took my VA and I invested hours. Not just me, Simon Lewis as well, because we share them, but I invested hours in protect in like growing his craft, right? And how he's responding and how to address certain situations to the point where, a lot of people are feeding their VAs 33-cent leads or 25-cent leads. I'm giving my VA runs $10 leads. You know what I mean? 3-month provens. Because it's another version of me. So I'm maximizing my time by essentially creating another version of myself. And then now I've done that multiple times, right? You can't beat me because there's four of me.
Dude, I love that so much. And I think it's such an important thing for people to hear, Damon, because I think so many times people think, "Oh, I'm going to get a VA," and their plan is to offload a task that they don't love. A lot of people don't love dialing, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to get that out of the way." But they're maybe relying on someone else to train it. And my mindset always was no matter how whoever is good at training that VA, they're not going to be better than me. And so, like, I got to get that VA up to like the level. So you're spending hours and hours making sure they're saying things the right way, making sure they're responding, making sure they're thinking about the quality of appointment the same as you, and then just replicating yourself in that way. Dude, that's beautiful. And did you do that with every VA?
Every VA, to the point where I've dialed it in so far, I'm looking at, how do I want them to communicate? And, I have a staffing agency that I work with. I got two South African VAs because I like the accent and I know people respond to it, right? And diving in and grabbing guys who have the same tonality as me, right? So by the time I show up to the appointment, they've already spoken to me. Well, he has a better accent than me. He probably pronounces things a little bit better. Um, but it's me throughout the whole process, even until it is actually me.
Yeah. No, dude, I love that. I love that a lot. What are you spending on leads and how do you divide that up? What do you dial it all at this point? You're running appointments because these four VAs you train, and how do you divide that up?
I mean, if God blessed me with more hours in the day, I would. Right now, my schedule is stacked 30-minute slots. I'm running anywhere from, or I should say, my schedule has anywhere from about 20 to, I've had days where it's 38 appointments. So like if somebody doesn't show, then yeah, I'm down and I'm gonna maximize my time. You never catch me just hanging out. Um, if there's, a lot of times, I'll run an appointment and now I'm 3 hours behind or 2 hours behind and I'm catching up, right? But I'm still not losing those people because I'm more important than they are.
Dude, that's how many people I want to take everyone on this call and just take a second. Imagine how many times you've been in where you had three appointments on the day and they don't show and how stressed you are. Imagine showing up to a calendar like Damon's to where you're like, dude, I got 20 appointments. And I got to imagine with 20 appointments on the books, Damon, that you're not dealing with a whole lot of difficult clients. If somebody's not interested or they don't want to give you the time of day, well, you tell me, I don't want to put words in your mouth. How are you
Yeah,
conducting those appointments?
yeah, I won't sugarcoat it. It's when I show up to the appointment, I show up ready for business. I mean, I'm not showing up like I hope I close this person. No, like this is, you showed up to the appointment, so you're getting closed very early on. As I'd say even before the FI, but probably right at the beginning of the FI, I'm asking questions that are, letting me know, okay, is this a buyer? Is this a shopper? Is this somebody who's wasting my time? Because again, my time has value. There's a dollar attached to every hour that I'm awake, right? And if you're not fulfilling that, well, then I don't have time for you, right? I'll tell people all the time, hey, I appreciate you showing up for this call after our little introduction here. This isn't going to be for you. If you ever decide you want to take it seriously or something, like, feel free to reach out.
Understood. What kind of leads are you filling into your system on a weekly, monthly basis?
It's all age mortgage.
Or I
So if
mean,
anybody
as
has
far
any
as
advice
like
out there,
spend quantity is what I meant. How much are you spending? How many are you giving them? How do you decide how many leads, how much you're spending with every VA? What does that look like?
I would say every week is different. And to answer your question, as much as it takes. I would say on average, I'm dropping between 3 and 3.5 a week. Um, on, again, it's not 25-cent leads, right? But if my VA, hops in Discord and he's like, "Hey, Damon, we need more leads," and it's only Tuesday, well, I'm excited. You know what I mean? How much? What do you want? 2 grand? Whatever you want. Like, you know what I mean? We're crushing right now. I like when they tell me that. I tell them all the time, I don't care what you need, you just better ask for it.
Yeah. I and if for anyone on here who thinks, 12, 15 grand a month on leads is a lot, Damon, what are you at issue paid for the year right now?
Jay actually just told me this morning because I had no idea. 186, I believe.
186. So 3 months in, less than full 3 months in, almost at 200 grand. And so makes sense to me. Makes sense to me, Damon. Dude, I would love to do in a second here, kind of like a mock role play, because I want people to hear how you talk to clients. I know your why building is is the biggest part. You said that's your biggest strength. I feel like I'm really good at that. That's why I find the most value. Dude, talk about before we get into like a mock presentation, dude, what are some of the highlights? What are the main things you're always trying to hit in the why? What are the most important things to you?
Um, truthfully, it depends on the individual, right? And there's people out there that would disagree with me that, it's not about the why, it's not about the emotion. And I'm a firm believer that everything that we do is, right? Sales is a transfer of emotion. Um, and if you can create that emotion, you'd be surprised at the amount that you start closing from people that you probably wouldn't, right? Because people don't buy on logic. Anytime I close, it's not because I've presented numbers and said, "Hey, this is the best option. Here you go. Well, hopefully we can get you approved." Right? No, it's people asking me for this. Right? I had a lady the other day. We're going through the budget. I present the numbers. She picks the platinum or she picks the gold option. I'm like, all right, listen, I'll be honest with you, Miss Jones. Like, it sounds great. It looks good, right? It fulfills the needs. But based off of what you're telling me, you don't have the budget for that. Right. And she's like, well, I can find it. I'll find it. That's what I want. And at that point, it's like, it's not a let's submit an application to see if we can get you approved. Right. This is somebody who's telling me this is what they want. And all I have to do is solve your problem. Right. All I have to do is give you what you want and you're happy. Okay, cool. Let's do it.
I love the mindset shift, Damon, talking to you from, I think sometimes too many agents have they feel like they're imposing on somebody else calling them, even though they filled out a lead and feel like always trying to push. But your mindset is like, hey, this is something that somebody wants. I'm there to serve this person. Like they wouldn't be getting on the phone with me if they didn't want something.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that your success is right on the other side of the conversations you're scared to have.
I love that, dude. Dude, I feel like you're one of those people, you got like 20 one-liner principles that like any one of them is going to change somebody's life, dude. So I'm just going to keep you talking and hope people are taking notes because I am, because this is awesome. Dude, I'd love to let's do a mock presentation. Is there any type of situation you'd prefer? I'll be whatever client, just pick.
No, just go for it.
Let's say we're booked. I booked on your calendar and we're showing up. Let's take it from there.
Hey, Gabe, this is Damon. Just reaching out here for our appointment. Is this still a good time for you?
Yeah, Damon, this is good.
Okay, cool. Now I know you had spoken to my assistant, William. I just want to make sure I'm on the same page as everybody here. As far as the mortgage protection goes, after you had that set up, did you ever receive your policy packet in the mail?
Um, I did, but I don't know where it went.
You lost your packet?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Okay. I mean, Gabe, let me ask you, do you remember which one of the carriers our junior underwriter got you set up with?
I want to say it was like State Farm or something like that.
State Farm. Do you remember like the amount of the coverage that you have?
Um, I think it was like 100,000.
Like you think about 100,000?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what like your monthly premium is or what you're paying into that each month?
I wasn't paying much. I want to say they kind of put it with everything else. I want to say it was probably like 30 or 40 bucks.
30 or 40?
Yeah.
Okay. Gabe, I gotta ask you, because there's a couple like red flags that are being set off for me here. Now, again, just to be clear, yeah, my name is Damon Keeledge. You have my credentials. I'm one of the senior medical underwriters here. It's concerning that you don't know how much coverage you have. All right. The first thing I always tell people is that any type of insurance that you have should have a job, and it sounds like yours isn't working. Right. It helped me to put the pieces together here. What was the intention or what was the job behind that 100,000?
I mean, to kind of help pay the mortgage, if something happened to me, I'm the main income earner. And so we just kind of tacked it on as I was getting everything else, the homeowner's insurance and all that.
Okay. Now, is it you or you and a spouse there?
Me and a spouse.
You and a spouse, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said you're the main income earner.
Correct.
Okay. Does your spouse have income coming in?
Yeah, she works part-time.
Okay. And, what would you say is the difference in your income? 3,000, 4,000?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty big. I mean, I probably make like 7 or 8, and she's, depending on the month, because of part-time hours, 1,500, 2,000.
Okay. So you're making like 8,000 a month. You must do something important. What's your job?
I actually do sales.
You do sales? Are you
Hmm.
like a manager or
Yeah, I'm a manager.
manager? All right. I mean, managers are important. Let me ask you, if they took you out of your role, does your business function?
And yeah, I work for a pretty big company, so I'm sure it would keep going. But
It
I
keep
don't own it.
going?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, okay, but I mean, the role that you play in that company, is it important?
Yeah, I'd say it's important.
Okay, so your job is important.
Correct.
All right, so same thing with your insurance, right? Its job is important, right? If we just start hiring people and don't know why we're hiring them or what they're doing all day, well, that's not really important. It makes sense why you don't know what you have. Do me a favor, Gabe. You said you don't have your policy packet or you don't know where it is.
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Okay, I took a note of everything here, so we'll just kind of clarify that later. What I'm going to do for you here today is we're going to give your insurance a job. All right. Now, I'm not going to tell you to keep what you have or switch to something else. All right. My job is just to make sure that whatever you qualify for makes sense for your situation. Now, I'll advise you. All right. I'll give you my input. But again, ultimately, it's going to be your decision. You are the main income winner in our conversation here. All right. And when you have that role, it's important that you make a decision because it's going to impact everybody around you. Would you agree?
No, I agree.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper for me. It'll take about 10 minutes. We'll get this knocked out for you.
Okay.
All right, perfect. Now go through the FI. The end of the FI is my favorite part, right? And first of all, don't skip anything in the FI, right? Because that's your ammunition. You wouldn't go to war with any bullet, with no bullets in your gun. All right, Gabe. So taking a look at the situation here, I know you have the policy through State Farm. First of all, great job. All right. You're doing better than 95% of the people I speak to because they don't have anything in place. However, right, sounds like your policy works at McDonald's, and we want it to be the CEO of the company. All right, now taking a look at the situation here, because you are the main income winner in the home there, right? You're bringing in everything. God forbid, but if something happened to you, right, what does that situation look like for your wife?
Um, I mean, pretty difficult. I mean, you know, she really doesn't make enough to pay the mortgage, so it's mostly me. I take care of the main bills, and kind of how we treat her money is, you know, what's left over we'll do with some fun stuff. So if we didn't have my income, it would be difficult.
And Gabe, you say difficult, right? I mean, if I close my eyes and try to tie my shoes, like that would be difficult, but I could do it. Right. So difficult is really not going to work for me here. What does that situation look like for her?
She need to get a full-time job to pay the mortgage. She if things stayed the same, she would not be able to pay the mortgage.
She would not be able to pay the mortgage.
No.
Okay. So she loses the home if you don't have something in place that takes care of that.
Right.
Okay. So then what does that look like for her? If she loses the home, am I going to see her at on 95 here? Or what does that look like for her?
She'd probably have to move back in with her parents or something. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
Okay. Do her parents live close or?
They live in another state.
They live in another state. What does she do for work? I thought you said she works at, whatever company,
She does some part-time nursing.
some part-time nursing.
Yeah,
All right. Do you know how long it takes typically for nurses to be able to find a new job?
I'm not, no, I don't.
Okay, neither do I, but I'm sure it's difficult.
Mhm.
My point here, Gabe, is that if she loses the home, she doesn't just lose the home, she loses her job, right? Because if she's got to move back, she's got to find a new one. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Gabe. You said you had kids?
Yeah, two kids,
Okay, and how old were they?
6 and 7.
6 and 7.
Hmm.
All right. So if she now has to pick up more hours, go from part-time to full-time, well, what does that look like for the kids? Who's taking care of them?
I really don't know. Maybe the parents would help out. I'm not sure.
The parents that are states away are going to help her take care of the kids.
Yeah, you're right, Damon. It'd be a difficult one.
Okay. So if we could find something that avoids all of this, all right. I know you said you have something in place, but again, it works at McDonald's. All right. If we could find something that solves this issue to where she never has to worry about that, how important would that be to you?
I mean, it'd be very important.
Very important. Okay. Well, Gabe, I'll be honest with you, not everybody qualifies for it. All right. Hopefully I do my job correctly and I find, a carrier that's more than likely to take you on. But if we don't get you approved for it, I mean, what are you going to do?
I don't know.
All right. So then what we're going to do is lock arms here and we're going to go to war. All right. We're going to find something until we get you approved because now I'm invested. All right. I'm expecting an invitation to Thanksgiving. Don't forget me on Christmas. But right now, Gabe, we solved your problem. All right. Give me about 5 minutes here. I'm going to place you on a brief hold. I'm going to take all this information and run it through all the 47 carriers that offer the coverage. All right. Then I'll have some options together. We'll sit down, we'll go through them. But make sure you have that pen and paper ready for me because, Gabe, I don't like to waste time. And it sounds like you don't have time to waste. All right. If you need me, give me a holler, but I'm going to place you on a brief hold here. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Yep.
And that's it. I'm going to come back, run the numbers, and I'll present them to you. But Gabe, you're going to be the one picking.
I feel like Damon, your invitation has already been sent. You're coming to Thanksgiving, and I'm pretty sure I just saw a draft come from my account from Transamerica. You did just tell me a policy live on, dude. That was
we do love Transamerica.
yeah, dude. That was phenomenal. I love how I love how you would not let me, and it's clear how you don't let the client get away with easy answers. And let me speak to everyone on the call who I know what a lot of people on here are probably thinking. They're probably thinking, well, that would make me uncomfortable. They probably tricked themselves and said, well, that made the client uncomfortable. But they're really thinking that would make them uncomfortable. And they're like, and Damon, that's a play that you run though when you have a lot, like you don't, if they're calling you because they need it and you've got 10, 15, 20 appointments on the day. And so if someone's going to get uncomfortable and they won't give you honest answers, you're not worried about it. You're just on to the next one.
On to the next one. The
Dude,
other thing too is like that coincides or ties in specifically with like pitching big numbers. And I think you hit it on the head. People are uncomfortable doing it. Why? Why? It's not about what the number is, right? It's about what the needs are.
yeah,
You start pitching people $30, $40 policies, but it's really cost them 250 to cover what they want. I mean, they know that, right? If I'm paying $30 for something, it really must not be that important.
yeah. No, great point. Dude, I would love to go over your close. So let's take that back up. Let's go back. You're showing me numbers and you're asking for the business.
Okay. All right, Gabe, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cool. You got that pen and paper ready?
I got it right here.
All right, first things first, Gabe. I'm not gonna lie, it took a lot of digging here. But like I said, we're gonna lock arms and do this together. So the name of the carrier that we're gonna be looking at is called Trans America. Go ahead and write that down for me.
Okay.
All right, now there's a couple things from our conversation, Gabe, that you said you wanted to avoid. Number one was your wife losing the home. Go ahead and write that down. Wife loses home.
Okay.
All right. The second thing you mentioned was that she'd have to go full time. All right. Well, you mentioned she's a nurse. So go ahead and write down nurse. All right. I did some research here on the back end, while I was waiting to hear back from the carriers. 87% of nurses can't find a job within 6 months. Go ahead and write that down.
Okay.
All right. And the last thing you mentioned were your kids. Now, I know we didn't really talk too much about it. How important are your kids to you?
I mean, they're everything. They're my world.
Very well. This is their first home or the first home they've ever lived in?
Yeah, it's first home.
Gabe, let me ask you. You said where'd you say you were from originally?
Ohio,
Ohio. What part?
Columbus.
Columbus, Ohio. Okay. You remember your childhood home?
Yeah.
Okay. You want your kids to be able to do that too. So make sure next to your kids' names there, you put childhood home.
Okay.
All right. Now, on that paper, go ahead and write down silver, gold, and platinum for me. These are the options that the carrier is giving you.
Okay.
All right. Your silver option is going to cover 100% of the mortgage. All right. For that, they're going to have you setting aside about 175 a month.
Okay.
All right, Gabe, I could stop here. All right. If you want to just cover the mortgage, we could stop here. But taking a look at the situation here, you have very different income from your spouse, right? If you pass away, home's taken care of, but she probably still has to go to work. She's still got to go full time, right? How's she going to take care of the rest of the bills? So I went ahead and put together some other options for you. Your gold option is going to cover 100% of the mortgage. It's also going to replace your income for an entire year. All right. For that, you'd be setting aside 250.
Okay.
You like superhero movies, Gabe?
Of course.
Who's your favorite superhero?
Oh man, it's got to be Iron Man, dude.
Iron Man?
Hmm.
All right. Well, your platinum option makes you Stony Tart. Tony Stark. All right.
Well, I'm
It's
putting
not
you in
only
my
gonna
phone as Stony Tark after this, just so you know.
it's, it's not only gonna cover 100% of your mortgage, it's gonna replace your income for 3 years. Your wife never has to worry about how she's gonna take care of the kids. For that, you'd be setting aside 320. You got all that down, Gabe?
I got it all down.
Okay, perfect. Now, again, from our conversation, there's a lot riding on you, right? I know you wrote down silver, gold, and bronze, but how important do you want to be to the legacy of your family? All right, which one of these options makes the most sense for you?
I love how platinum looks, but it might be a little too expensive, so I'm leaning towards gold.
Okay, Gabe, I know you told me at the end of the month you have about 3,000 left.
Hmm.
All right, what about the platinum feels expensive to you?
Yeah, I guess I was just thinking maybe you're right. Maybe it's not that big of a difference.
Gabe, I'm not here to tell you the answer, right? What I'm looking at is what your budget is versus your importance to the family. All right. If you don't want to do the platinum, that's okay. I'll be honest with you, Gabe. I don't think you need it. All right. But how important are you to your family? Which one of these makes the most sense for you?
I mean, I really want to be Stony Tark, so I'll do platinum.
Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is we'll just see if we can get you approved. Again, it's all going to be pending the underwriting with the carrier. Gabe, I do just want to preface one thing. All right. They are going to ask you for some information on the application here. All right. First things first, not to call you a liar, but is there anything that you haven't disclosed to me as far as the medical record?
No, I told you everything.
Okay, because they are going to verify that from your MIB, which is tied to your social. The other thing they're going to ask for is your DMV records. I know you said you didn't have any DUIs, felonies, anything like that, correct?
Correct.
All right, they're going to pull that from your driver's license. And
Okay.
then finally, they're going to do a bank validation here. Now, Gabe, are you sure the platinum's going to be the most comfortable for you?
Yeah, I won't have any problem.
Okay. Because pending the application and approval, that first premium is normally drafted within 24 to 48 hours. Is that anything that's going to overdraft the account for you?
No, no, it'll be fine.
All right, perfect. Now I just want to confirm the address I have on file here is 123 Easy Street, and then I'll just go into the application.
Is anybody confused on how Damon is at 200K for the year? Nobody's confused. Dude, you know what I can't there's so many things I love about your presentation, but I think one of my favorite things is the way you present the coverage. Damon, I was probably just a few months into the industry and I was watching someone like yourself post on like daily sales channels, one of the biggest writers in the company, and their average premium was so much higher than mine. Like my average premium was like 50, 60, $70 a month. And this person, it seemed like all they posted was 170, 200, 300, 400. And I remember, and the first thing that hit my head was a bunch of excuses. Like, well, they must be only talking to rich people. They must, have some kind of secret, yada, yada. And then I had in my hands, as I was thinking about this, I had in my hands the last financial inventory with the options I had presented the client at in my hand. And I saw at the my highest option had been $90. And here's what the conclusion that I came to and helped me a lot from that was like, well, for sure, they're showing bigger options. Like the client isn't asking to pay more. And I think for you, Damon, you did such a great job at building the why that it justified, like after that interaction, me not covering the mortgage didn't even seem like a feasible option. And so that belonged in the silver spot. And then you asking for the bigger amounts of or presenting the bigger amounts of coverage. Like it just made sense. Is that something you've done
Just
from the beginning?
no, no. I wouldn't say in the beginning I was scared to show big numbers. Never been scared to show numbers. I knocked on doors. Uh, what it was lack of, I'll call it product knowledge, but not necessarily product knowledge, life knowledge, right? And obviously, doing this job, you learn a lot about what this coverage can actually replace for people. The more you're able to create that need, um, the bigger numbers you'll be able to present. And just to be clear, had you would have chose the silver option, I'm not gonna say to the old Gabe, are you sure? Like, you're not making a good choice here. Like, no, silver option is fine, right? But people like to be told what to do. That's just how we're created, right? You get somebody on the phone and you're not making it through the introduction. Well, it's because you're not putting yourself in a high enough position, right? Because I think I've heard it on one of these calls before. I think you might even been the one to say it. You're not going to question your doctor if they tell you need a prescription for something, right? Because they position themselves and we position them in a place of status, in a position of status, right? So as long as you're able to create that, you'd be surprised really what you're able to do with people. And it's a little manipulative, or at least it can come off that way to somebody that's not in this business. But truthfully, it's just helping people realize what their actual needs are and then solving that issue for them, or at least giving them the options to solve them.
Dude, you're 100% right though. Like I recently just had someone to do some foundation work at my house and I had two people out. And one of the first people that I had look at it, I couldn't even understand what they were proposing. I felt like they were trying to be nice and they were giving me all these options. And I ended up not doing business with them because I didn't feel confident that the work was going to be done well. And then the second person that I had out was like, look, this is your problem. This is how it's fixed. This is what we should do. And I was like, boom, let's do it. So, to your point, people want to do business with people that they like, but people that they trust. And when you're presenting clear options that people can follow and understand this is what this does for me, it builds trust.
Right.
And so, no, dude, that was beautiful. I would like, how do you present? Because obviously we do a lot of equity present, equity protection, transitional policies. If you could just go through, how do you present those options typically?
Same way, right? Equity protection is actually my favorite. I sell more equity protection than I do term. I sell very little term. But equity protection is even more fun, right? Because usually it's a much smaller face amount for a much larger premium. And it's usually because they're older that if they wanted to cover the full mortgage, we're talking $800, $900. So when you have somebody where essentially there's no other option, right? Whether it's 3 months or it's covering 2 years, well, you need something, right? You're too old to qualify for these other options that you would have had, had I met you 20 years ago, right? So at this point, it almost creates more urgency, or at least that's how you should be framing it, right? I had a guy I was talking to the other day. He was 84 or something. And I said, Craig, I'll be honest with you, you're on the borderline here. All right, next year, there's maybe two carriers that'll work with you. All right. Right now, we have the flexibility and freedom to kind of explore multiple options. If we lose this, all right, you're going to be paying that 500, 600. All right. It'd be very important for you to make sure you have something locked down now that you can increase later if you want to. All right. But as far as you being able to qualify, if it doesn't happen right now, it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? And making it real, right? Your tonality is going to be the biggest thing, and how you deliver these things is what's going to make people feel. Because emotion, right, I'm an actor, right? Believe it or not, I took a improv class when I was in college. Um, Emotion is created in tonality, right? And when we watch movies, people don't get Oscars because they weren't good on screen, right? They get Oscars because they're able to have somebody in the audience watching them and feel the way that it's meant to be portrayed. Same thing. This is the same thing. It's a performance. If you're not locked into that, if you're not delivering it on a level where, you come from here to here, where the emotion is, well, they're not going to feel it. But if you can get them down here and live in here for the entirety of the presentation, everybody always claps at the end of a movie.
You're right. Dude, we're coming up on an hour. This has been phenomenal. I know you probably got 30 appointments on the books today, and I don't want you to miss any. So, but dude, before I let you go, you've been in the business 7 months, and this will be your first full year. I can't wait to see how this year wraps up at the end of your first full year in insurance. You're crushing. But you've had some time where you come in, you see agents coming around the same time as you, after you, new agents coming in, you're building a team. Dude, what do you feel? And you gave so many good things, but if you had to highlight for maybe an agent within their first couple months listening to you, listening to this training, and feel like you see a lot of areas where agents make a mistake, whether it be presentations, leads, their workflow, what their day looks like. Could you give me two or three areas that you would tell agents to hyper focus on to really make sure they're not making that mistake?
Absolutely. It's leads. Leads is number one. And I know, broken record here because everybody says the same thing, but it's true. And I'll give you a real life example. The second lock-in that we had here in Tampa, I think this is like right around the Tampa Summit time or the Black Tie event, whatever it was. Um, I spent $3,000 in leads and didn't close a single thing, right? And it would have been real easy for me to say, wow, give up. It was Wednesday, right? I've gone through all of them 3 times. I'm like, yo, there's nothing in here. It'd have been really easy for me to give up right there. But I know my lead spend needs to be consistent, right? Because in every pack, there's laydowns. There's people that you can flip. There's, opportunity, people that just never got called before, whatever it is. I spent another 3K and by Saturday wrote 20K, right? And it's because I kept my lead spend consistent. Now, to say that, as long as you're keeping it consistent week over week, or maybe there's weeks where you even need to increase to meet, your needs as far as like staying busy and producing. But as long as you're keeping it consistent, whether you make it through all those leads or not, right? You're creating enough volume where you're going to walk into those laydowns. You're going to walk into those flip situations or people that have never been called. So number one, I would say leads. Lead spend, I don't care if it's 500, I don't care if it's 1,000, it needs to be consistent and you need to be continuously scaling it up. Number two is work ethic. right? And again, I tell people all the time, oh, I want to be like you, damn, I want to be like you. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you knew the work that I put in to be where I'm at, you wouldn't do it, right? But to determine what your work ethic is important, right? And it needs to become a non-negotiable. Number one thing I always tell people is your life is a movie, right? You're either going to be the hero that everybody loves because your story was hard. You fought dragons, right? It was you went through turmoil and peril, right? And it turns out to be a great movie. Or, you be the regular guy. You're Bruce Almighty. I don't know. Well, we love him at the end. He's a cool guy, but he didn't do anything incredible. You know what I mean? So work ethic. And then the last thing, if I could pick something, would be what you're doing outside of work. All right. I come from the fitness world, so I'm a big fitness guy. I would bet my bank account on it that my success is directly related to how I spend my time outside of work. Now, I'm not telling you to do what I do because I'm crazy. I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and do fasted cardio, do my devotions, first of all, thank God. Do my devotions, get dressed, come to work. After work, I'm in the gym for 2 hours, right? I eat meal prep food. I pay for a meal service because I want to know that everything that I'm doing is dialed, right? And when I'm consistent with the things outside of work, all of a sudden work becomes very fluid, right? Everything just starts working, everything just starts clicking. If you're spending the weekends, getting drunk and eating McDonald's, expect to come in on Monday groggy and not ready to produce, all right? So your outside life has to directly reflect the success that you want to see at work and with your production.
Damon, this might be my favorite national call of the year, dude. It's hard pressed to find an hour call packed with as much value and principles and just like practical things to apply as this. Guys, put something in the chat if you got something from this. Damon, this was phenomenal, dude. I agree with everyone. I echo everyone when I say we're incredibly proud of your success at Pinnacle. We can't wait to see how this year wraps up. What's the goal for you? I didn't even ask. What's a goal? Self, team? Do you have one, or you're just giving it everything?
Jay's gonna be mad, but I don't have a goal, right? There's no goal. It's not about the destination, it's the journey. Right? I focus on every day as it's every day. Whatever the outcome is, it's a byproduct of the work that I'm putting in. No goal, but I will crush everyone, right? I will unintentionally be number one. And it's again just a byproduct.
You know what? I almost never let someone get away with not having a goal, but if they're working like you, Damon, and anyone can get away with it. So, as, dude, appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for hopping on. This was phenomenal, guys. This was recorded. Here, let me tell you something. Take this recording the moment it posts in the Discord training, save it somewhere, share it to your team, people that aren't on it, and take something from this. Damon, thank you so much. Everybody have a great day. Go out, crush it. God bless.